All right, all right, all right. Welcome to the Perspective Podcast. We are here with Robyn Letourneau. Robyn, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, for those who don't know, the Perspective Podcast, we like to get some insight on people's stories, real life people going through or gone through, and how they overcome their situations and adversity. And then also gonna get some background, some back and forth questions about pretty much anything. It's the Perspective Podcast. So yeah, there we go. So I want to get started. Learn a little bit about Robyn and just like a little bit of her history. Who is Robyn? What made Robyn Robyn? And then we're going to talk about real estate because she's actually also a real estate agent. So I value her opinion. We've kind of had some conversations about investing in the past, which we'll touch up on later on. So stay tuned for that. But first, I would just like Robyn to introduce us. Tell us about some adversity you've faced in your life.
Wow. So that is an interesting question. I have actually never had a public forum to discuss the adversity in my life. I kind of came from a very sheltered situation. I won't lie about that piece. Definitely upper middle class, intact family. And, but definitely had challenges like everyone else within growing up and finding my way. So, yeah, I guess everybody has a story, right? So my story is a little bit long. So where should I begin?
I think we have some notes over here kind of talking about your early 20s and your college career and kind of how things maybe you weren't as focused back in the day, but, things you were just naturally intuitive. You were just naturally someone who comprehend very easily. And I resonate with that. That's like literally the same thing for me, except I don't really necessarily worry about that now. But yeah, just comprehending really easily and then your focus in your early 20s. Let's talk about that.
So my early 20s, I was a party monster. But
cookie.
Yeah, literally, but like in a good way, right? Because there's always like the party monster that can't handle themselves. Like I was never that party monster.
So she could handle her alcohol is what she's saying.
Correct.
Oh, shit. She can hang. Robyn can hang.
Yeah, so I don't know about hang
can she
now.
Still hang
I don't know about that, but I mean, I'll have a few drinks, but.
And then it's Party City.
No, but in my 20s, I really was kind of like, whatever was fun, I was there for it. Okay. I wanted to have the most fun, and I certainly did.
Okay.
So I went to Central.
I wouldn't get that at all. Jesus.
I had all the fun. Everybody. I mean, like, why not?
Okay.
So, yeah, I definitely.
Hear ya.
I definitely went and had my college lifestyle. I worked through that whole period of time, though. I had 2 jobs. Like, I always had 2 jobs, which is kind of crazy because how the hell do you go to school full time and have 2 jobs and be a party monster?
Yeah, how did you do that?
I have no idea. It just really is like...
Why did you do that?
Because I like fancy things.
Oh, a woman with taste.
Yeah, exactly. So... and I had to support my fun lifestyle because, like, my parents didn't pay for that. So
no shit.
Yeah. So I basically was a server. So I worked in a restaurant. And, like, if anybody has ever worked in a restaurant, like, it's basically like working in the circus because there are some interesting personalities. But, what working in a restaurant did for me in my early years was it allowed me to really refine the way that I hold myself. So, it was like professional in the front, but like party in the back. Right. So, that was interesting. And I worked at...
She was the mullet of people.
Yeah, correct. So I was, I was like in my early 20s and I was working at a pretty fancy restaurant.
Okay.
It's Cava restaurant in Southington, like shameless plug. Actually, so I had started working for them in Glastonbury. They had an earlier restaurant and I worked from like when I was 18 until like 21, and then they opened their new restaurant and I helped launch that with them. So I I was really loyal to them, and actually now my best friend is the owner's son. So we like basically lived that crazy life, and it was fun.
You guys met through when you were working there?
Yes, yes.
Oh, wow.
So he's, one of my best friends, and we, definitely don't party like we used to, because, when you get in your 30s, it's harder.
How do you like celebrate these days? So with that energy, like that party energy, like how is that channel now? Is it just completely gone? Like, how do you just work 24/7 now?
I mean, I do, but I also I have a good balance, I think. Like, for me, my priorities shifted because as much as I had all of the fun, which, what that meant to me then is not the same as what that means to me now. I definitely still partied hard, but also worked hard. And I think that was always a theme for me.
Yeah.
So I also was a lifeguard. And so I was a lifeguard, and I was also working in a restaurant. I mean, I lifeguarded just a couple hours a week. It wasn't crazy, but that was the most boring job I've ever had. Sitting there staring at people swimming, it's important.
I saw a video of this woman saying that. Did you see this video where she thought the lifeguard was a robot, just the way she was
you
looking?
Have to just look back and forth.
She was
back and forth.
Is that what it's like?
It's so boring.
A robotic is
truly.
Is this a thing?
Yeah, it really is a thing. And I worked, I worked a couple hours a week at Central. So I basically it was just a joke, but and nobody really swam, so. It was fun. It was easy money, but it was boring. So, I mean, unless I had to save someone, which luckily I never did. But, yeah. So anyway, long story short, I always had that kind of work hard, play hard mentality. And now I'm I want to go on vacation. I want to see the world. I want to experience life. So that's my party scene now is when I go on vacation, I'm going hard on vacation. We're talking 2 to 3 weeks. Don't call me. I'm busy. Although I will take your call if you really absolutely need something, if I'm being honest. But I really enjoy just kind of planning out exploratory adventures, different national parks or other countries and their food and the culture and the lifestyle. I love that stuff. So
yeah, I feel that definitely.
Yeah.
So I see that you're very organized, you put a lot of planning and preparation into the things that you do. Now, I remember we were kind of touching up about the lack of focus in school. Were you always disorganized, or is this something that just developed through time? How'd that happen?
I think I'm pretty type A. So I am very organized. I sometimes don't feel like I'm very organized, but it's organized chaos, right? So I always know where everything is, but it's not always translatable to, bringing other people on. That is something I am definitely working on. So I am, and I have always been very organized. And, friends of mine will tell you for years, even in school, I had a planner, which is really lame. But it worked for me. I put everything in my planner. And so when I had to have study time, or if I had to schedule things with because you always have group projects, which suck. But during that time, I had a plan. I always had a plan. I still have a plan. So I'm pretty organized.
Got it. Love it. So with your work ethic now, right, and in real estate, I think we're working on a development project that's actually occurring.
Yeah. So there's kind of a few irons in the fire there. I can't really speak about the development, but I will say that there is a development that I am working on. It's going to be a small development, less than 50 units, and it's going to be in a budding market. So it's still in confidential mode, but I am super excited once we can officially announce.
Right. So going back onto this this focus in school, right? What made you not focus, and why? And oh my gosh, I'm stuttering like crazy right now. You see this mess up? Oh, good.
I didn't.
Okay, but anyways, What was I going to say? I completely lost my train of thought, Robyn.
I will tell you exactly what you're trying to ask me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's see.
So when I went to school, you go to school because your parents tell you that when you graduate from high school, you're supposed to go to college. Well, I disagree, but I did it because I knew that I had to like get it done.
Right.
So I actually graduated high school like a half a year early because I was like, I never went to class, like, believe it or not. I like skip school all the time. So I was in danger of not graduating. So
where did this party girl come from?
I don't know. Like I'm not like a raging crazy, like.
No, I know.
So anyway, so like I graduated high school early, because I honestly was bored. I was like, I don't want to like be here. None of this, I don't care about this and whatever. Graduated early, started college early, ended up, you have to pick a major. They're like, just do it. So I did all like my core classes because I was like, all right, I just need to pick something. And they were like, well, do something you care about. What do you want to be when you grow up? Like, I hate that question. And it was something that I struggled with because I wanted to be a lot of things.
Yes. I feel that.
I feel like a lot of people feel that. And I think now like the times have changed. But for me, I was like, well, what am I interested in? Right? Like, what do I care about? And I was always kind of interested in human behavior. So I went into psychology thinking I was going to graduate and become a therapist and work with people and help them solve their problems.
Right.
And that's still kind of true, but in a different way. And then I minored in business and marketing. So ironically, that all really ties so well into real estate in retrospect. But at the time, I was just kind of like, let me just get this done. I was like, I just need to get this done and get this piece of paper to validate my adulthood and move into like my best life. So that was kind of it wasn't like non-focus. It was just like, it wasn't something I cared about. So I was just like, I need to do this and I need to just get it done. I wasn't like, oh, I need to be an A+ student. I didn't do bad. Like I was a solid B student, but I didn't, and not to say like this in a braggy way, but I didn't really have to try that hard.
No, yeah.
So I was kind of like, I could do what the bare minimum.
Right.
Because it was the subject matter was kind of intuitive to me already. Mm-hmm. And then I just kind of coasted. I mean, There were definitely areas that I struggled with, but for the most part, like it wasn't like brain surgery.
I got you. No, I hear that. I definitely resonate with that. I think a lot of people who tend to be like more successful in life don't really work with the confines of how they structure schooling and like the typical 9 to 5, that type of structure. I think people who are free thinkers, people who like do successfully, kind of break out of that college trap or that cog trap.
Well, I mean, it's not to say that college is a bad institution.
What did you major in?
Psychology.
Okay.
Yeah, psychology, and minored in business marketing. So, like I said, it's a necessary evil because for me, when I graduated, it was the Great Recession. Like there were no jobs. So I graduated at a time where it was like, okay, you now have to go into the workforce. Just kidding. There's no jobs.
So what'd you do?
I just applied. I mean, I stayed with the restaurant anyway because I was making very good money. And then I just looked for jobs and I landed on the state of Connecticut. So
you weren't in Connecticut first?
Oh, no, like the actual state.
Oh, you worked with the state?
Yes.
Doing what?
So this is a long explanation. Eligibility is like the short answer. So I worked in welfare. And so I was kind of like, all right, well, if I went for psychology and I'm trying to help people, then this makes sense because it was, entitlement programs and government support. And so like things like Husky and Medicaid and food stamps and cash assistance. So yeah, that's where I ended up.
When did you decide like on what you wanted to do as far as like your like full career, like your full life? I want to take control of my life. I want to get into this specific workforce. When did you make that decision and what like caused that?
Okay, so this is where the story begins.
Oh my gosh, let's
Dun,
go.
dun, dun. So I actually had like a quarter life crisis. I was like 23, 24, and I was kind
Okay.
of like, all right, I've had my fun.
It's
Like,
getting good.
I definitely like partied enough. Like, I'm done with this kind of like monster lifestyle.
Nothing happened. You just like decided I'm done with this.
It wasn't,
You
yeah,
got
it was
bored of it.
exactly. It was like kind of repetitive. I was like, I don't want to wake up on Saturday morning and have a headache. Like, I just want to like live my life.
Okay.
So I was like,
hear that.
and not to say there's anything wrong with drinking, like drink in moderation, but like I think the lifestyle that I was in was a little bit more like indulgent.
Okay.
So it was like, we're going to go binge drink, have all the fun, get an Uber. At that time, there was no Uber. So it was a taxi on the, ride home. And it's just like, I don't know. Like,
Is this
it
a
gets
bad
old.
question? I got a question.
Sure,
So like,
tell me.
Sure, tell me. So I've never really been into the whole like partying like that. Like maybe when I was like real younger, I used to party. Like obviously, you kind of do some bad decisions in like high school and
Are
stuff.
you Gen Z?
What's Gen Z?
Are you like, what?
Oh, I thought you said Gen Z at first, and then I
No.
said it. I literally said Gen Z. Like, yeah, I know what that is. I'm a millennial.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, millennial.
Sorry.
So I did like my partying in high school. Like
Oh, no, not me.
that's when I did my partying, and so I kind of got sick of it too. But like, when you said you had all the fun, like, what would be the fun? Like, is it dancing, or is it just like
Oh, yeah.
talking?
Clubs,
Is it just like talking? Like, how
clubs,
do you have fun when
bars.
you're drinking?
Okay, so like Connecticut's kind of like a weird place, right? Because you don't really have like a lot of things to do. Like West Hartford obviously is like a good scene. And then you have Hartford. Back when I was like in my early 20s, Hartford was still like a fun place to go. It was like a college scene. So, like we'd go out on a Tuesday or
Right.
whatever. So
Before that girl like kind of fell off the building.
that was actually like right around the time where I was like, yeah, I think I'm done with this. I wasn't there.
That's
I'm
when it completely switched up, I think, right?
I think it did. I think because she
She died.
she died.
My friend was there and he saw. Yeah.
Yeah, so like good example of why partying in excess
Sad
is
stuff.
probably not the move.
That's so sad.
It was sad, and I heard about it, but actually I also know somebody who was there. But all this to say, like, what was my partying like? It was just kind of like my friends and I, we'd go out to the bar. My friends and I would go out to dinner. We'd go to a bar. We'd go to, what the newest restaurant, the newest bar, the newest club. Like, we were just like out and about, like nightlife.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now I feel that. I'm like so introverted. Like when I go outside, like I just stick to myself. I'm not really too conversational.
I'm a people person.
Yeah. See, I'm like a people person too, but like I like situations like when we like, it's not just like small talk. I like in-depth, real deep conversations, how we can elevate each other.
I hate small talk,
Yeah, me too.
especially office small talk. You want to talk about small talk? Working in office.
Quite the pencils we got here, huh?
Oh my God, it's terrible. It's literally like, I'd rather like peel my eyeballs out. So like when you work in an office, so this is like a very important part of this journey. You go back to high school, actually.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like
It's judgy and stuff. It's like cliquey.
so judgy.
Oh,
I thought
gosh.
like,
What?
I was like, I got my first real job. Like it's my time to be an adult. Wrong.
Quick question. Hot take of the day. Do adults ever get out of high school? Do people ever leave high school?
I don't think they do.
What the
It's
heck?
weird. It's a weird thing. Like, I don't think people like personally try to develop themselves or like improve or anything. I just think they like have their habits and that's what they do.
That scares the shit out of me.
It's
It's like zombies.
I'm just like ripping the Band-Aid off for you because if you ever work in an office,
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
now that things have changed so much, but like before it was like you were obligated to whoever you sat next to, like either you chat with them or it's awkward. And there's like,
Not me. I'll just be like, just calm in the silence.
oh no,
Calm in the
oh,
silence.
not me. I'm like, if there's silence, like I'm going to break it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm like, we're chatting.
Okay.
So when I was first in this role, so I started, it was like, oh my God, I'm like, I got my first real job and like, I'm an adult now and like, everybody's going to take me seriously. the first person to walk up to me, she was like, honey, you should be somewhere else. This is a terrible job.
Wait,
You're
this
gonna
is your
hate
first
it.
day?
Like first week.
And she just randomly never spoke to you ever before? She doesn't even know your name.
No, she was like,
She's
hi,
like, yo, get the fuck out.
You want to leave now.
Because the work environment sucks, or
Yep.
because she's saying that you don't belong?
Oh, no. Like the work environment. She was like, get out while you can.
And what was your thought? Like, what you think?
I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm at my real job now.
I'm a big girl.
I'm like, okay, you.
Oh, we're not going to say that word.
No, I just, like, I was kind of like, why are people like that? Like, I thought that it was strange. And then the longer I was there, the more I realized, like,
She was right.
it's a toxic work environment.
So she was actually looking out for you.
Sort of, in like a very weird way.
Yeah.
So, she was interesting, but, yeah, like, like people have a certain idea of the state, right? Like when you go to the DMV, that's what you picture the state being. It is actually like that. It's like working at the office, like in the worst way. People are just like unhappy, and yet they like focus on their like little tiny lives. And I know that sounds so like I'm better than them.
You sound like the Joker.
I know, but it's like they have these like, okay, I was 22 when I started working for the state, and I was still like, I didn't want kids. Like, I'm in I was always in like relationships. So like I was like, I was like, I don't know if we're going to have kids. I don't know. Like, I'm not there yet.
Right.
So they were like, oh, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? These are like the questions you just don't ask people, but nobody ever told them that. But that was like
How the eggs holding up?
Right. So like literally I was like, hold on a second. Like, first of all, I'm not engaged. Like, I'm a very traditional person. And yeah. So anyway, like it's a weird bubble. It's like where people who are just like average go to like get a check.
So when we're talking about this state, are we talking about like the actual like the government type stuff?
Correct.
Like they're just miserable.
I mean, I don't think everybody's miserable. I just think that it's a very ordinary job.
So you think people hate it because it's just like very like tedious and like
yeah, it's like the new age
mundane.
Factory.
Mundane.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you're just like processing paperwork and talking to people and processing paperwork. It's very task oriented. So like there's no thought, there's no problem solving. It's just very like robotic.
Oh my God. That's like not how you want the foundation of a government to be.
Well, I think like government programs are designed to be in a box. And
there's a free thinker.
Yeah, God forbid. Yeah. I mean, truly, I was like, I was always like a fish out of water. Let's put it that way. I was like, I can get along with these people. I can do this job. I can do all of it. But I was so I was frustrated because like there was no way to advance unless you stayed in that position.
Oh, wow.
For like a certain number of years.
That's definitely got to add to the misery.
Oh my God. So I was like, I'm proficient at this. Like I've now figured it out.
Right.
And yet now so once you figure, I don't know if you're like me, but if you're like me.
I just got to grow.
Right. Like once I figure something out, like I'm done with it. I want to do something
Right.
else. Like
yes. Right. Perfect it. Like
fix
get
it.
better at continue.
Correct. And like I had no control over my own situation. It was like you had to do your time. I was in prison.
Oh, they did what they were doing, man. Yeah. Schooling system straight to the 9 to 5.
It was. And it was like, all right, so you want to talk about like TikTok conspiracies, but like, let's just say when you're in school, they train you to be in an office. Like right. They do. It's true. And if that's okay with you, like if that's your personality, great. And you're going to thrive.
No way.
But some people, you know what? Some people really don't mind like punching a clock. Like they just want to do their job, go home, and have their free time.
I think the reason that they think that way is because they want to follow into what's like socially normal. Like if it was socially normal to like go out and like get your food, I'm sure like they would like that. You know what I mean? But because like this is what is accepted, this is how people do things. They just want to be like, all right, I just want to be like everybody else. I just want to do my thing and just live a quiet life. Get my food however I need to get it. Blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if we're necessarily built for like clocking and punching in, but we've definitely made that like a normal thing. And that's why people like just want to like follow in and not overthink, not overwork, just be simple.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are jobs where you can exceed within like a corporate structure, right? Like the private sector is much more adaptable to people who are creative and have motivation and like want to improve, and there's like you can make more money that way. I'm always somebody who's been motivated by money. So for me, I was like, I'm working really hard and I'm not able to advance and it's not making me any more money.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay,
Right.
what am I doing next?
Right.
So this was my quarter life crisis. I was like, this is a quote unquote good job. Medical benefits, time off, paid, like it is what is defined as a good job, but I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to like figure out what exactly I'm motivated by, what I like, what inspires me, things that I'm good at, all of that. I actually hired a coach.
What kind of coach?
A career coach.
And what they do?
So obviously, like every other coach, they kind of give you tools and you have to do the work. And at the time, it was like early in like the coaching world. Like people weren't really talking about like, oh, you should have a coach, you should have a life coach, you should have this and that.
They show you like what you really want in life, like how to.
Yeah, so it was kind of like interesting because he was a Harvard grad. And he lived in California. He wrote a book. I read his book. I liked his book. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll hire this guy. And so I signed up. It was like sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So like the first session's kind of like unpacking what exactly you like to do and what's stopping you from doing it. Holy shit.
Nice.
Sorry for the language.
You can swear. I don't give a fuck.
So, like, honestly, I was at a point in my life where I was like, I have followed everybody else's directions and now I'm miserable.
Oof.
And I'm like, but I followed all of those directions and I also can't get rich from this shit. So I was like, all right, let me figure this out. So he like gave me tools. I like, did the work. I sat with myself. I meditated. I walked. I did all the things. And I was like, you know what? I really want to do something that is important. Like I want to do important work.
Yeah.
So this is kind of funny. So I actually got promoted. And I ended up doing policy for the state, which I also was like really like I was excited because it was a lot more money, but it was also like I actually could impact change in people's lives and the work that I was hating before. Yeah, but it was pretty much the same job, just in a different form. So it ultimately like he helped me really see what I needed to see. He helped me to position myself better as a marketable person and in like the workplace. Mm-hmm. So he rebranded me basically. He like redid my resume for me, but ultimately I just learned that you can do whatever you want. Like you can. And that was like a mind shift for me because I was always like, all right, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. And back to my planner, it was all there.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I would never think like, oh, I could do something else. Like it just didn't even occur. So he kind of helped me with the mindset shift, and I needed that. And then ever since that, it was like my mind was like opened. So
Wow.
that was a big one. But during my early 20s, my story actually shifted because I didn't really have any. So I stayed in my job for a very long time because I was in a kind of a crisis, I guess you could call it. So I just had been dating my now husband, for like about 3 years. We had just gone to Rhode Island for 4th of July weekend. We were just celebrating, so I was 24 years old. I was like doing this shitty job, but I was like, whatever, I'm making good money. I'm fine. Like, we're still living it up. And this was before I got my career coach and my mind shift, my mindset shift.
Mm-hmm.
So I had gone to have like a weekend. My parents actually came down. They were just kind of like here and there. We didn't really hang out with them because like 24, I'm busy,
Yeah, no, I got you.
So we basically, and just before that we had gone on vacation. So like back to my like party monster like shift. We had just gone to Mexico. We like saw some cool stuff like Chichen Itza and like Tulum and like just like came back like full.
That's a lot of life.
It was so much life. It was so great. Honestly, like I don't know if you can go to Mexico, like you should get off the resort and you should go to Chichen Itza because that's history that you're like, it's cool. It's a cool place. It's hot.
I would love to see that.
Dude, go in the winter though. It's hot.
It's hot? We're talking like what, 115?
Well, yeah, like and
seriously?
Fucking hot. Like, ugh.
How'd you survive?
I barely did. In fact, I think the tour guide made an exception and let me sit in the car.
They don't let you sit in the car?
I was like, oh my God, I can't take it. But it was anyway. So we had just gotten back from a beautiful vacation and a trip to Rhode Island, whatever. And I was back into like my 9-to-5 grind and I was like, fuck.
Oof,
and
I
like,
felt that.
Yeah. Like, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
So like it was Tuesday. It was July 11th. It was like 6 a.m. And my mom calls me like frantic. And I'm like, what is going on? It's 6 a.m. Like, what is going on? So she had just found my dad unresponsive. And I was like, fuck. And at that point, like, I don't think it registered to me, like, how big of a deal that this was because I was just in shock.
Yeah.
But my dad, like, held it together for our family. Anyway, so, after that, it was just like, well, the job doesn't matter anymore because my life is over. I just lost my dad. And so, like, everything else kind of, like, fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I just got to get through this. Like, it's whatever. So back to my, like, all right, I need to.
So you were just like a warrior off the rip? Like, you just, like, it clicked? Like.
Yeah. Let me just say this. My dad passed away. He owned his own business. So, like, the doors were shut. And I had to go in and open them. Because his business was him. So I had to go and, like, shut it down. So that was different. Also, like, yeah, he was a very secretive person. So we had to, like, my husband, my then boyfriend, poor fucking guy. He's literally a saint. He was like, what do we need to do? And I was like, buckle up. So, yeah, so we had, gone to my parents' house and, yeah, they like took him away and I was like, we got to go to Newington. He had a business in Newington. So we had to like go and my uncle worked for him. And so we had to like make some phone calls and, yeah, it was like a very strange, it was like surreal because I was like, this didn't happen. Like, this isn't real life. Like, I'm going to wake up and this is going to be not real. Mm-hmm. So but it was very fucking real. And it kind of, my mom is not like somebody who knows how to deal with things. I must have gotten that from him. She's very ethereal. Like, she understands like frou-frou kind of like nice things. She's just not, she doesn't have the capacity for challenges. I'll put it that way. So, and she'd also been living, so this is the other problem. If you're married for a number of years and your significant other handles everything, she had no idea what she had to pay for. She had no idea what her financial situation was. She had no idea, like, what was going to happen to her because she had never dealt with it. But I somehow did, which is weird.
Because you're a warrior.
Well, I definitely had a little bit of insight, and my dad would kind of give me clues. And he was not somebody who really, was like warm and fuzzy. He was not like, hey, kid, like, let's learn how to do this thing. Like, he was just like, I'm doing this thing, and now you're going to watch. Like, that was the kind of upbringing I had. So I was very much like thrust into things like, you're going to figure this out. And I guess it really worked out for me because I figure things out. So after this happened, like after the funeral was over, it was real. It was like, all right, now we have a probate court situation because my father didn't have a will. And I'm an only child. So that was kind of lucky at the time because I think if you have multiple siblings and you guys don't all get along, things could get very messy. So that was kind of lucky, I guess.
100%.
So
did you ever let yourself feel like, did you ever break down?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Like I said, my husband's like a saint. He had to basically carry my like misery, like pick me up off the floor. Like I was a mess. I lost like 20 pounds. Like I was just like, I was a mess. Like it was just unexpected.
So you were going through all this and like picking up the pieces.
Yeah.
Like it didn't take like you some time to like feel that emotion, go through that weight loss, and then you come back doing like all the stuff, or you're doing this all simultaneously?
Oh no, it happened all at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, like I didn't have time because so at the time my husband and I had put an offer on a house. Like we were getting ready to move from our apartment at the time into our next chapter, and we had put an offer on a house. And this was like before the market was super crazy.
Yeah.
So like we were waiting for a response, and then this happened, and I was like, oh God, like what if they accept? Like it was a really, so anyway, they didn't, long story short, which was a blessing because if they had, we would have been in a much different position. But anyway, so, when this happened, like our lease was up, we were like, all right, what are we going to do? And I was like, we have to go help my mom. Like, I have to go help my mom. Like, you can stay in the apartment if you want, but I have to go. Like, I can't leave her. She's 65 at the time. Yeah. My dad was 64 when he passed. And she was just not, so we had a house in Marlboro, and it was up on a hill. Like anybody who had ever been to my house knows, like, this place was a death trap. Like it was so dangerous in the winter. Like it was straight uphill. And like my dad, built rock walls. It was like his hobby. So uphill, turning with ice, surrounded by rock walls, just like a death trap, literally. So I'm like, okay, she can't do this by herself. Like I can't let her do this by herself. So I was like, all right, I'm in. Like we're gonna fix. I was in fix it mode, and there was a lot of emotions just between the fact that my father was gone, and we had decisions to make, and she had to be part of those decisions, and her and I didn't see eye to eye ever. So it was definitely a test of our relationship. But, ultimately, we got through it. It took 3 years to process probate court because he had a commercial building. He had a business that had to be dissolved. He had 10,000 square feet of shit, literally, like van parts. So he did automotive van customization. That was like his business. And obviously in like the mid 2000s, like people didn't buy minivans anymore. They bought like trucks or SUVs. So his business had shifted a little bit, but he still had all of the 1992 like Dodge Caravan parts. Why? So that was fun. And then he just like kept stuff. He like kept all of this stuff. And I was like, we had to go through it, like 10,000 square feet of stuff, like packed to the brim. And so it took time. And then the house, which was none of this, by the way, was in my mom's name. So all of it had to go through probate court.
Wow.
So it was a lot of details. It was a lot of moving parts. He also thought at some point it was a good idea to cancel his insurance on the building, which was not a good idea. Don't recommend. And so we had to get insurance back in the building. And the good thing we did, because later there was a water leak and it ended up being like a $90,000 issue.
So after probate court, did you guys get everything back? Or there's some...
Oh, so here's what happened. So probate court, I'll give everybody like a quick how-to. If somebody dies without a will, there are like 3 scenarios. The first scenario is it all is transferred to the spouse because it's held jointly. Well, he didn't hold anything jointly with his spouse. So then it had to be... So there's like steps and there's certain time frames for everything because the state puts everything in a box, as you recall, because that's how state agencies work. They have to have rules. So you have to have, take inventory of all of the descent stuff. What did they own? All of that. And then you have to notify creditors. So if there's outstanding debt, the estate pays the debt. And then after that, then you have to like go through the who gets what process and how the assets transfer, because the state of Connecticut takes money for everything and they tax you on it because it's the great state of Connecticut. So anyway, it was like, I want to say like, so the whole process, if you don't have a whole lot of stuff, let's say, or if your estate is pretty simple, like you could pretty much finish this up in a year or less. His was very complicated. So there was a lot of parts. So like we couldn't close the estate until the real property was sold, or like transferred, but it was sold. So essentially the probate process, it could have taken less time, but it just couldn't have taken less time because there was just too much going on. Mm-hmm. But all of this to say, like, I learned a lot during that time. Like, I was 24 years old and I was figuring out how to dissolve a business, get rid of junk, wow. File insurance claims, file legal documents.
Wow.
What else did I do? I can't even remember. I feel like I should have made a list. I should have made a list in retrospect. But yeah, no, I have to say, like, it changed everything for me. Like, it shifted everything because I had no choice. Yeah. And I was jealous. Like, I looked at my friends. They're out there having fun and living a carefree life, and I was no longer able to do that.
Are you still jealous?
No.
Why?
Because I don't see things the same.
Meaning what?
I mean, like, my priorities now are about growing and my career and my future. And I don't know. Like, it's just not, I just don't have the same mentality. And I think because of this like crazy situation that I was thrown into, that I was like, I have to do something important.
Right. So you're proud of what it produced?
Sorry. Yes,
It's okay.
I am. I think that during times of adversity, a lot of good things come out.
Would you change it if you could?
I would have changed some things. I think the general process, I mean, yeah, I would have changed the whole situation 100%. Like, I would have canceled that. But no, I mean, I think because of that situation, I always kind of knew that I had a backup plan. If shit hit the fan, like, I could always move back home. Like, if shit hit the fan, like, I always had my dad to be like, shit, so I never ever fucked up. Like, I never got arrested. I was never in trouble. Like, I was a pretty good kid. And, like, I just always knew that, like, if something happened to me, he was there to catch me. But he wasn't anymore. So I was like, and now I'm an adult.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think, like, again, come back to the whole, like, I was pretty privileged because not a lot of people had that, like relationship with their parents or the ability to lean on them. Like, a lot of people are kind of like, well, you're out of the house at 18 and good luck to you. But, you know, I wasn't raised that way, and I was lucky.
I think a lot of the times when people hear the word privilege, they think that people aren't able to, like, face challenges. Like, that's what people I think that's what, like, when I think privilege, like, I feel like people just aren't, like, equipped with difficulties or problems. I think you need difficulty. I think you need problems in order to, like, kind of get out of things. Mm-hmm. But it just kind of goes to show, you said you were privileged. Like, when things did go wrong, like, your true character kind of showed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, when I was saying, like, I was jealous of the people around me that had these, like, minor issues in their lives. I was like, I had friends who were like, oh, like, I don't know what color dress I should wear tonight. And I was like,
it's the end of the world.
I know. I was like, oh my God, that's such a hard problem. I'm over here trying to, like, navigate. Yeah, like, I'm over here trying to navigate this, like, really complicated situation. And you're, like, complaining to me about these ordinary problems.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I have nothing in common with you anymore. You know, like.
Yes, right.
And that was, like, I weeded a lot of people out.
Right.
I did.
That's how it works. That's definitely how it works.
And it was kind of necessary. Like, to be honest, when I looked back, I was like, I don't even miss them. Like,
right. Imagine if you were stuck in that cog type of thinking and you just, like, worked that typical 9 to 5 without growing, without even caring to, like, educate here and there, whenever, all the time, whenever. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's a fine way to live if that's what you want. If that is all
you're better than me. I couldn't accept it. I mean, if for other people, sure, but I would never be able to. I just
never felt like I was in the right place. Like, I always felt kind of like I don't belong here.
That was after all this happened.
No, I mean, I always kind of felt like, all right, in the box. Like, I never really felt like I was part of, like, I never really liked school. Like, I was not really bad at it. I just didn't really like it.
Right.
And I wasn't really, I liked college because college was a little bit more freedom.
Yeah.
So, like, you could show up to class, you could not show up to class. Like, you make your own decisions. You're an adult. I always showed up to class in college, by the way. It was just like a shift from high school, which I never, ever, ever showed up. Like, I was like, I never went to school in high school. I don't know how the fuck I did that.
I know why. I feel like I know why.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're the type of person who operates under pressure, right? Mm-hmm. And high school is not really, like, who the fuck cares about that shit? And then when you get into college, you're like, okay, now this is actually starting to take direction of my life. Let me actually start showing up and actually working and doing the stuff.
It was more like, I have to pay for this.
Taking shit
so
seriously.
I'm not going to screw this up because I can't screw this up. I have one chance.
Shit matters, yeah. Quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, like, I think that people, they take the hand they're given, and sometimes they just accept it. And I was like that. I was like, I'm here. I have a job. I should be grateful. No, well, that's not true. Like, maybe you could do something else. Maybe you could do something better. And so that kind of like that trauma that I had to deal with, that like my father passing away and dealing with just like all of the repercussions that came out of that. Because here's the spoiler in life. Funerals and weddings are when the worst comes out of people. You will see everybody's true colors. Weddings. Oh, that's a whole different story.
What the flip? Damn, I'm enticed.
Oh, God.
Now I got to know. What do you mean weddings? It's supposed to be the happiest day ever. As a wedding videographer, don't you dare break my bubble. Don't you burst my bubble. I'm thinking everything's peachy. Is there some shit happening behind the scenes that I can't fucking see? I'm supposed to be vigilant.
But the day of is fine. It's usually it's fine. But yeah, like the lead up is really. And you know what? I think weddings.
Let's touch it. We gotta touch it.
Okay.
We gotta touch it.
Okay, so I had a COVID wedding.
Okay. So everyone's just coughing? Is that what you're talking about?
No, like I got engaged in 2019. Mm-hmm. And we decided, because we have a lot of friends and family, we were like, let's do a destination wedding, because, I mean, not to say that not everybody will show up, but like...
Let's weed some motherfuckers out.
Well, no, it was more like we had been to, like, no lie, like 30 weddings in our adult life. And we were just like, there's kind of like an order of operations. Like you get there, you have, the ceremony, you go to the reception, you dance, it's over.
Yeah.
You spend $40,000 if you're lucky. You don't get to eat because you're walking around saying hi to people, and then it's over. And I was like, I don't want that kind of wedding. And he didn't either. So luckily he was on the same page, because we had to pay for it. So we were like, if we're going to pay for this, like, we're going to get what we want. So we were like, again, back to like, we want to go on an adventure. We were like, we're going to do a destination wedding. So in 2019, we booked it, and we were just like, la, 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 it's going to be wonderful. We'll book it for 2021, because like that'll give people enough time to save and do whatever. And if they don't want to go, fine, we'll just whatever. And then there was a global pandemic. So
that doesn't sound so bad. I thought you were saying the worst in people. Where's the worst in people in that? That's not.
Oh, it's just, trust me. Like when you get engaged,
okay,
we'll talk about it again.
Outside the podcast.
We'll talk about it again. But I will say, like, like people's true colors come out. Like,
what do you mean? Like you're as the couple, or like family members?
No, family members, friends. If you don't, like, God forbid you don't invite like somebody, or you ask somebody to be in it and they don't really want to be in it, or like it's tumultuous, and it's like people are never honest. It's like I said, I'm very interested in human behavior. It was always something I was really interested in, because I just think like it's interesting.
Right.
And when we got engaged, it was like, Joe, my husband, and I had been involved in so many other people's weddings, like in them, supporting them, planning parts of them, and nobody did that for us.
Damn.
So it was just shitty. But I mean, I shouldn't say nobody. There were definitely people involved that, like, they wanted to be in there and whatever, but it was also like bad timing, because then the pandemic put more strain on everybody. So it was like, well, this was supposed to be our time, but anyway, so, but yeah, no, the wedding I'm glad it's over, but it was a beautiful time. We had wonderful attendance, and, like, I have nothing really bad to say about it.
Got it.
But I will say that, like, when you want to learn who somebody is, get engaged.
That's simple. Mm-hmm. Is that easy?
Either get engaged or, it's funny. It's a funny thing. Funerals too. So it's like somebody dies and everybody shows up out of the woodwork. Secrets come out. People's intentions. It's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why, like I told you, I stay to myself.
Listen, I'm about to get on your level.
I stay to myself.
Although I'm not gonna lie, I really like people. Like I'm not.
I do too.
I really do. I'm a people person. Like I want to hear people's, just like you. Like I want to hear people's stories. I want to hear what they've been through.
Right.
Because like it's like people are so resilient. Like they really are, and I think like it's just so much a testament to like where you've come from.
Right. What's
And
possible.
yeah. And like, so anyways, in my working life, I was involved in a program called SNAP Employment and Training.
That's a mouthful.
It's a government program. It's definitely got an acronym. So,
SNAP Employment Training?
yeah.
That's it?
SNAP ENT.
SNAP ENT?
Yep.
SNAP?
SNAP.
Oh, SANAP.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Easy enough.
What the purpose of that was intended for is to help folks who are on SNAP, which is like a supplemental nutrition program.
Yeah.
It helps them get training so that they can go find a job. And it's a great program
Yeah.
in theory,
Sounds pretty good.
right? So like it helps people to gain access to community college training and whatever. So all this to say, but like people that are in poverty, they have barriers, right? They have issues. They have physical issues, whether it's transportation or childcare or whatever. But they also have like mindset issues. And yet people that are in poverty or have faced adversity are more likely to achieve success and better their situation than anybody else.
Really?
Because they have nothing to lose and because they're motivated to get out of wherever they are.
Right.
So I was really excited to be a part of that when I shifted my job, because that to me was like, all right, this is helping. This is actually helping people. But then I realized it was just more bureaucracy.
What a state of affairs.
So anyway, so I hope I answered your question. I mean, probate was hard. You know, life is hard, but like it really just after that, like I had to figure out what I wanted, because I was like, I'm not doing what everybody else wants me to do now because I've already done that.
Right.
And now I'm like, life is too fucking short.
Right.
You could literally wake up dead tomorrow. Like, I hate to be dramatic.
How can you wake up dead?
No, I mean, I'm just... My point is, like, you just never know when your time's going to come. Like, life is short and you need to make the most of it. And that challenge really opened my eyes. Like, I'm not going to sit here and do what everybody's telling me to do. I mean, I'm a very risk-averse person. So I was like, I have a plan.
So did this mentality all happen during that course of that trauma that you experienced?
Mm-hmm.
Like this whole mentality shift of, you're not going to tell me how to handle it. I'm going to figure it out. You know, I'm just going to flush through the information and see what actually sticks.
I think that I was always that way. I think it just exacerbated my kind of like type A.
Safety net.
Yeah, like it exacerbated my I'm going to fix it. I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get it done. And then...
And for the people at home, what's a type A?
Type A.
AKA, yo, what's a type A?
Yeah. Right. So a type A...
Very driven, very motivated.
No, it's just kind of like organized, kind of like things a certain way, problem solver.
Why is it A? Why is it... So what's B?
A little bit like... more laid back, maybe a little bit messy. I don't really have a proper definition because I wasn't prepared.
Are both, you don't know type A, type B?
I mean, I just know that I am type A. So type A is like very like organized and like prepared.
Does that have anything to do, like to say like how successful they'll be? Type A seems like they'll be more successful.
I don't know, actually. I think type A people are just more...
See, I don't like that.
Like leadership?
Nah.
Like, I don't know, to be honest.
No.
I don't know. I think I just know that this is the way I've always been.
Yeah, no, for facts.
So it's like
That's good.
I just think that, you know, some people say I come off intimidating.
Pretty scared right now.
I think you should be, because apparently I am
I
very
should be.
scared.
See, now that scared the fuck out of me. I wasn't scared. Once you said that.
No, I know.
I kind of, whoa.
No, I mean, I've been told I'm intimidating, and I was like, well, what do you mean? I'm very nice and approachable.
I don't think you're intimidating. I think that you are somebody who is driven, you're focused, you know what you want, and I think that's pretty much it. You know, I think that's pretty much all it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm not intimidating to you.
Yeah, no, I think I like to surround myself with people who they're kind of like they just know what they want. They're focused.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like the ironic, like for like you're focused. You know, I appreciate that. I like that. I like people who will figure things out. I don't think that I can surround myself with people who just accept things for what they are. You know, and that's why I'm honored to have you on the podcast today.
Yeah. So did I answer your question? I feel like I went
be
down
honest,
a rabbit hole.
I don't even know what my question was. I feel like I led you down a rabbit hole. I was just like, okay, what about this, this? It wasn't a straight line at all. It was just literally. I was causing the tangents, and I apologize. I wonder if it's like even comprehensive on film.
I mean, we're gonna find out,
Yeah,
right?
we're
I'm sure you're
find
gonna
out.
chop it up and make it make sense.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna just let it be, just like straightforward. I think it'll be straight, to be quite honest. Like, I think it'll be okay.
Stream of consciousness.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of how I want the whole like tempo of it to be. I want it to be kind of like raw, uncut type thing. You know what I mean? I don't want to just like really polish and care, because like I really want to make it like a comfortable, and I want it to be authentic. You know what I mean? I want it to be like, just like as you mentioned, like a stream of consciousness. That's how I want to see things. I want people to like actually get learning lessons. I want to see behind the scenes, because like I've done so much research, like, right, like a lot of times when we're talking about like this cog mentality, we're talking about, I'm the one bringing up the cog mentality, but we're thinking about like
what's a cog mentality for the people in the back?
So cog mentality is kind of like so like in the state how people are just like filing away and like just doing like the busy work.
Oh, like a cog in the wheel.
Yeah, that's all it is. Just it's not really thinking. It's just like you're just kind of allowing this industry to keep on moving. You know what I mean? You're not really individual. You know what I mean?
Got it.
So I think a lot of the times, what the flip was I even saying? I got to get into this.
Cog mentality.
Yeah, but before that, like I was talking about
Motivation.
Focus.
Intention of the podcast.
Gosh.
Rabbit holes.
Rabbit holes. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Okay, so perfect.
I'm here for the trigger.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Just spark it away. Just keep saying words, something that rhymes with. Okay. Yeah, so I think we for instance, we look at celebrities, right? And we idolize celebrities. We idolize ways of being, things like how to be, certain characters, certain blah, 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 right? But they don't realize that these things are edited. They're catered to look a certain way. Like people, like celebrities, movie stars are catered to fit a certain image of being cool, of thinking, having a certain train of thought. But then you get the behind the scenes of like their actual thought process when they think that they're not being on camera or whatever it is. And then you see the true individual, you realize it's not so cool. It's not so glamorous. It's not so as, you know, whatever. So like I've seen some shows where like people actually talk a little bit more like authentically true, and you get to kind of see the mindsets of these people. And I think that's really helpful. So I don't want to sugarcoat things. I want things to be like actually seeing trains of thought, streams of consciousness, just real people talking, how they problem solve, how they go through things. Obviously, I'm kind of asking questions, making us go on tangents a little bit and kind of maybe slowing that down, but I'm sure I'll polish it out through time. But that's just the general idea of it. You know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I ever like came back around to the.
What was the question?
The question was like, what are the challenges that I've faced? But I don't know if I ever tied it back to real estate.
So let's get it.
Okay, let's do it. So, I mean, I talked about solving problems. I feel like that's my master superpower.
Maybe I should like rephrase the question.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right? So with this, okay, so you're dealing with probate, right? You're having to like figure out how this estate is going to be distributed, how you guys are going to get possession of it, how it's going to like be, right? And obviously we're dealing with estate, we're dealing with real estate as it is, right? So is that when your passions really started to formulate for real estate? What ultimately made you want to make the switch into real estate from the state to whatever?
Okay, so during my father's estate processing, we had to work with several different real estate agents. One to deal with the commercial property, and she did nothing. Like, I mean,
Why did you have to deal with real estate agents?
Because I wasn't licensed. So I wasn't, like, at that point, was not like...
But why do they need to be involved?
Because we had to sell the property.
Oh, okay.
So
all of them or just one?
Well, We had to sell the commercial property 100%.
Okay.
So because he had a private equity partner.
Okay.
And because there was no like way to pay him off, and it didn't make sense to keep it at that point. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you sold. Wait. So he's partner. Would you need his permission to sell it?
Yeah. So he wanted to sell it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had an agreement. It was a private agreement that was an addition to the deed, but he was on the deed, but he wasn't really he wasn't an active participant in the property.
Yeah.
So he was just an investor for the intents and purposes.
Understood.
And anyway, so when we sold that building, I didn't know we needed a specific kind of realtor. I didn't know that there was a commercial realtor versus a residential realtor, right? So we found a Century 21 realtor who did commercial.
Right.
Wrong decision in retrospect. She was very nice. I have nothing bad to say about her.
Shout out. Did a great job.
Yeah, I'm not going to
No,
drop.
I wasn't saying that. No,
I'm not going to name drop. I thought she was a very nice person. I have nothing bad to say about her. She basically was like, clean out the building and then we'll take pictures and then we'll put it on the market.
Is that what she sounds like, or is that what she sounds like in your head?
In my head.
You incompetent mother flipper.
It was just so unhelpful. Like, it was so unhelpful because it's like, you know what this is and you're not giving me resources. You're not giving me anything other than a list of
clean out the property.
Yeah, and at the time,
busy work.
Right, and at the time I like didn't really think to like ask anybody else. I was just like, okay, this is what I need to do.
What should she have done?
I mean, here's what I do in my practice is, all right, you need to clean out this place. Here's a junk removal. Here's who you could donate to. Here's a like nothing. She was just like, here's what you need to do. Good luck.
Get it done.
Good luck.
Fly. Go fly now.
Right. And it was like just so unhelpful. And then she would continue to check in. And it was like,
you guys get it done yet?
Yeah. Are you done? Did you finish? Did you finish? Did you finish? That's how it felt. And maybe it didn't actually come across that way.
That's overwhelming.
But that's how it felt to me.
Especially in a time period like that.
Right. Because it's like, we're also like grieving this loss. My mom didn't do any of this, by the way. She was just kind of like.
You're handling it all.
Yeah. So anyway, in retrospect, learned that I needed to have multiple.
I want to know what that like little laugh was. Like, where was your mind going? Touch up on that. That's like you're trying to suppress it. You look like a deer in the headlights right now. You're like, no.
So commercial real estate's a funny thing.
Okay.
If you don't know, you should know that commercial real estate agents transact only in commercial real estate, and because of that, they are specifically. Like they are the experts in that field. It's like hiring a attorney. When you hire an attorney, you don't hire an attorney who specializes in tax law to do your real estate closing. You hire a real estate closer to do your real estate closing. So it's the same for real estate. You hire somebody who knows that practice.
Yep.
And had we done that, number one, we could have maybe gotten more money for the place.
But how would you even know, like, which type of realtor you should be looking for?
I didn't. So in retrospect, right, like hindsight's 2020. Like we didn't know what we didn't know. So we worked with that realtor, and then my mother decided that the house was going to be sold. I did make her an offer. Because it was my childhood home. Like, I had never moved. That's where I lived my entire life. My father had done 1 million things to this property. It was special to me. And she sold it.
Oh.
Anyway.
Oh.
That's where I'm going to leave that one.
Okay.
So, that realtor...
She's a warrior. I like it.
That realtor sucked. And I'll say it out loud.
Is this the same one from?
No.
This is a completely different one. Yeah. So why did she suck? She convinced your mom to sell it.
Correct. She basically was like,
I want commission.
100%. Because in retrospect,
Robyn, get the fuck out of this conversation.
Right. So I made my mom an offer, fair market value. She ended up accepting an offer after repairs and concessions that was like 10,000 more.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
That's so sad.
It's super sad. And so what ended up happening with that is they improved the house a little bit. Like, and honestly, it looks like shit. But
That's great.
so they just like painted and like did a couple things, and they ended up selling it in 2020. And so I saw it come on the market, and
You bought it?
no, I wanted to, but it was honestly,
Overpriced.
so I have like a really weird story about that.
Okay.
I'm going to just get into it. So, it was I had been licensed at that point. I was like actively working in real estate. Actually, no, it was 21. It was 2021. Like February of 2021, it came on the market because it was the Friday before my wedding, my COVID wedding here in the U.S. and in the church that I grew up in. And I said to all my clients, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm unavailable this weekend. It's my wedding weekend, and I'm going to be like prepping. So I was working with a couple that was coming from California. They were like actors, actually. And they were like, we know that you are busy this weekend, but we saw a house come on the market.
And it was your house.
Spoiler.
Oh,
We
my
saw
God.
a house come on the market, and we need this house. We'll pay cash. We'll put an offer in right now. And I was like, well, what's the address?
Oh, my God. Your heart sank. What
I almost threw up.
You almost threw up?
I was like, wow. It was the weekend before. It was the weekend of my wedding. I was like,
Right.
is this my dad? Is he coming in saying hello? Is this what's happening? Like, is this the
Oh,
weirdest?
wow.
Yeah, like, is this the weirdest thing?
Oh, snap. That's crazy.
So I called my husband, then fiance, and I was like, you're not going to believe this.
I love it.
And he's like, holy shit. He's like, are you going to go see it? And I was like, I don't know.
I
Like,
don't know. Damn, I felt that. That was fear. Oh, shit.
I was like, I don't know. I have
Wow,
not.
that was so emotional.
I haven't driven by. I've driven by the house twice since. Like, it's actually pretty raw.
Yeah.
So the agent, this fucking bitch.
Same agent?
no.
Selling?
Different agent. I called her. I'm serious. I called her. I was like, hey, this was like kind of at the beginning of things going crazy. So I called her. I was like, look, I have a lot of information about this house. Because the disclosures, like property disclosures go up on the house, like when the house is listed, but they hadn't been put up on the MLS yet. So I was like, don't worry about that. I know everything there is to know about this house. And she was like, how? And I was like, well, I happen to live there for 30 years. So, well, not 30, but my dad did. So she was like, oh, that's weird. And I was like, yeah. So anyway, my clients really love the house. They're out of state. They were in Vermont. And I was like, I'm actually getting married this weekend. So I was hoping that we could get into so I could do like a virtual tour with them so they could see what it is. Now, let me tell you just a little background about this house. It's a contemporary A-frame. So it's a box. I explain this well. So an A-frame looks like a triangle, right?
Yeah.
And it's usually with like an open floor plan. Upstairs looks down over the living room. But this had a cut off. So it was kind of like a trapezoid, not a total triangle. So it was a very unique house. Everybody always kind of called it like a chalet or like a tree house because it was surrounded by trees. So it was a very unique house, and my clients really wanted something different. So I was like, oh my God, I secretly kind of hope they get this house because like it's a special house. Like it had challenges, like the way that the driveway was.
You didn't think about like putting in your bed yourself?
I did. I thought about it. I actually really did.
Why didn't you?
Because I had a plan and it didn't involve that house anymore. So
Understood.
I was like, I hope they get it because I want people that really care about the house to have it. Like
Yeah.
it's a special house.
Yeah. That's cool.
And, I continuously think though, like when I make it, right, I'm going to buy that fucking house. Like, but not yet. I'm not there yet, but I will. When I do, I'm coming back on the podcast.
I bet.
So, anyway, so they went up like 40 or 50,000 over asking and they didn't get it.
Wow.
Weird.
Because it's COVID.
It was like when things were cuckoo bananas. Like 2020 was pretty high. 21 was insane. I mean, you had to go like 100K over asking.
That's insane.
Because like things were just, and I was like, this thing's never going to appraise. Like if they had a convention, but like I say fucking bitch about this agent because it was a dual agency situation.
This is great.
And it ended up closing like not that high above what we offered. But she was the sales agent. So she had both sides of the deal. So I can't help but think like, you're just selfish. But I mean, maybe she wasn't. Maybe it was a better deal. I don't know. We'll
this is
never
the same
know.
agent as before, or completely different?
Totally different agent.
Totally different bitch.
Yep.
Yep. I'm the one who said that. Don't worry. Not Robyn.
Anyway. So yeah, so we had an agent that dealt with the house. We had an agent that dealt with the building. And then my parents had built a house in Rhode Island in the 80s. And they had it rented because they weren't living there. I mean, they only went there like in the summer. And at that point, it was like they couldn't really like get there to enjoy it. So they were just like rent it out. Anyway, so they had an agent there who was dealing with the lease. My mom was, I told my mom, when you decide to sell this house, you need to live in Rhode Island. It's the house you built. Like, she loved this house. Like, I mean, like, this is her happy place, right? So I'm like, if you're not going to live there, then why even have it? So she's like, you're right, whatever. So she ends up wanting to move back. The people that had been leasing the place were moving out. And the agent that was managing the property, like, incompetent. Like, completely incompetent. I was like, I can read this contract and it doesn't say what you're telling me. And I was like, how the fuck did this person get licensed to do real estate? Like, she can't even read. Like, so I was like so annoyed, and I was like arguing with her, and she was just like not answering me, and I was like, listen, honey, like, step aside.
So I want to know though, like, we never kind of got like when you made the transition yourself.
Right. So this is why I was like, well, shit, if these people can do it, then why can't I? So after.
So you were pressured, like from the incompetency, it like made you want to just kind of just give it a shot.
Okay. So if I had to put like a story, like, okay, so we'll just timeline it real quick, right?
Yeah, let me get this.
Because like I feel like we got off track.
Let's get it.
I was 24
yeah.
when my dad died. I was 27 when probate was over. I was 27 and a half, 28 when I decided I was like on my journey to finding my way. I actually thought I wanted to be an attorney. I had like gone through the process to like find out what I needed to do to go to law school. And then I hired my career coach during that time, who basically was like, find out what you like, find out what motivates you, find out what you hate, and then do something with like that intention, right? So for me, I was like, okay, but I want flexibility. I want this, I want that. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I was like, I went down the rabbit hole of going into law. Like, I went to UConn School of Law. I sat through their orientation, and I was like, I actually really hated school. What am I doing here? I wanted a title is what I wanted, because I thought that I needed that because I was young, and when you're young, people don't take you seriously.
I want to like segue real quick, like the amount of self-awareness that it takes for you to like understand like the fact that you just wanted the title. You know what I mean? Like understanding and being able to dig deep enough to truly understand your motives. I think that is that's just like something that we should give credit to.
Thank you.
Because I don't think a lot of people typically have that type of self-awareness, especially even just like to say something like that. Like so round of applause for Robyn.
I guess, I always did things a little bit ahead of time from my peers, and not like I was better than them. That was never like how I felt.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But when I was...
You know what? I know I'm crazy.
Tell me.
So, you know what I think? I'm a very spiritual person.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know if you believe in God at any chance.
Oh, yeah. I'm Greek Orthodox. Like,
you believe in God?
Oh, yeah.
So that's like where I'm giving it all credit to. You know what I mean? Because I find like a lot of similarities in our story as far as like I was always very easy to learn, just like you were. You know, things it's so easy. Like I never had to try. I would just sit in class, not do my homework, and still do better on tests than the majority of people. So like I think like being ahead of the time, I think like it has to do with like this spiritual grounding. I think it has to come from like this accepting and coming from faith, because I think everything is given to us from God. I think He gives us all of our understanding. He gives us our compassion. Everything that is discerned comes from God, and I fully believe that. So I think that's where you have the leg up, quote unquote. Everyone has the ability to get connected to God, but that's I think where we're getting like the that, you know, being ahead of the time. I think it has to do with something like that.
It's very possible. I mean, like, I was raised in church. Like, I actually kind of credit my mom for, like, forcing me to do all of these things that I actually really didn't want to do growing up. And that kind of, like, formed my, I wouldn't say, like, work ethic, but, like, my way of overscheduling myself.
Okay.
Because, like, I had to go to school, right? Like, Monday through Friday, but then Saturday I had Greek school because I'm Greek.
So that's why planning is so important to you, so that you can, like, visualize, you can see, you know, how much time to spend on something.
And then Sunday I had to go to a Sunday school because my mom is very religious. She, like, doesn't discriminate either. She's, like, Greek Orthodox, but she'll go to the Catholic Church. She doesn't care. She loves Jesus. Like, she'll go all over.
Yeah, baby!
So, like, let me just say that. But she's like, she, I will say this, like, my mother and I have a challenging relationship, but she has instilled values, maybe not by herself, but by putting me in that position that I truly believe are important. Like, you can't just learn how to be a good person. Like, you have to just, you can't.
Examples.
Yeah, like, you have to, like, I don't know, like, religion's important. And I don't really care how people feel about the institution itself. But, like, the values that come from religion are important.
People get some pretty false ideas. You know what I mean? They think about, like, how the Catholic Church does things or whatever. Like, I grew up Catholic. My family's Catholic. You know, I'm like very into just like the text and the book itself. I think that's where all the values are. I don't think we should see how people propagate religion and holidays. Like some of these holidays, I wouldn't even, if we really want to get like really into it, like it never says Christmas. It never says Easter. There's no like, none of these things are signified or, you know what I mean? Like even told us to celebrate. So like you can never really get how people use God, how people use Christ. To a certain extent, you got to just use the word yourself. You have your own relationship. Sure, there's a select few. The gates are narrow. You know what I mean? But for the most part, you know, yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like I always kind of felt like I was really young to be doing certain things. Like I was a manager at the restaurant that I worked at, and nobody took me seriously because I was 19 and I was running a restaurant. Like. Yeah. Sorry.
Good for you. Look at that. That's fire.
Thanks. But it was hard because it's like, you know what? Youth, I wouldn't say like I said, I was a party monster. Like I like to party. I like to have fun. But when it came to business, like I was working. Like no bullshit. Like it was what it was. And that type of, like, I guess mindset was why I thought I needed to be an attorney, because I'm like, somebody will take me seriously if I have attorney in front of my name.
You gotta just take yourself seriously. It's how you carry yourself.
Correct. And I was like, I spoke to several attorneys that I was friends with, and I was like, well, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? And they were like, absolutely not. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Like, I wouldn't recommend. And I was like,
crazy.
Why? Right? Like, attorney, like, you still have to go get your own clients.
Prospecting.
Right? Like, who thought? Like, or you have to work at a firm.
You still have to get your own clients.
And if you're having your own business, but you started a firm, right? And like you're working like 80, 90, 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
You're busting your ass.
Yep.
And you're either going to make partner at where you work hard and you have no life, but you make a lot of money, or you're going to start your own firm and then you have to go eat what you kill. And I was like, shit, like, don't need to accrue $100,000 in debt for that. Right? Like,
yeah, fuck no.
No. So I'm like, all right, if I just need a title, like, then there's other ways to do it. And I was like, I just need to figure out, like, what do I like about law that makes me, because I was like, I don't want to be a doctor. Like, I would not want to be a doctor. But I was like, but it's the prestige that comes with a title, that, like, the respect that comes with the title, that I was like, I'm young, nobody's taking me seriously, but I know what I'm talking about, and, like, I can do it. Like, somebody just needs to give me a chance.
Right.
So I was like, what can I do that solves that problem?
Yeah.
And I kept coming back to, like, so you had to, like, do these little exercises with your coach. And it was like, well, what do you like? What comes up for you when you want to, like, when you think of your best life, when you think of your career being a part of, like, your core values or things that you enjoy doing? And, like, home just kept coming up for me. Like, I like to be home. I like to decorate my home. I like, I like traditional, like, I host Thanksgiving. Like, I love the whole concept of home. And I was like, well, what the fuck? I never thought, like, maybe I should get my real estate license. And so then I did. And that was, like, when the game changed.
That's history right there.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you got your first client.
Oh my God. So my first house that I ever sold was a small 800 square foot house in East Hartford, Connecticut. And it was the client
800 feet.
It was 888 square feet.
888?
888.
That's a good luck number right there.
I mean, it wasn't a good luck deal, let me tell you.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes, like, there's some shit shows. That's, like, literally, like, the magic.
Here's what I knew. I was like, once I get my first deal, it's going to happen like dominoes. And it did. But I knew that I just needed one chance so that somebody would see that, like, I can do this, so that I could show, like, social proof to everybody else. And I fucking did that. So
that's right.
So then after that, I was like, all right, now I need to figure out, like, all right, what do I need to do to, like, scale up? Because I was like, I mean, I was grateful for this opportunity. It was a tiny house in East Hartford, and East Hartford's a tough market. So I was like, how do I get in, like, how do I sell that $1 million house? Like, that was, like, everybody who gets their license is like, I'm going to sell $1 million houses in Greenwich. But I was like, I'm a little bit realistic. I know, like, the average person can't buy a house in Greenwich, like, and you're probably more likely to sell a bunch of average people houses than you are to sell one giant mansion in Greenwich. So I'm like, well, how do I get into
luxury
in a way? And I was like, what am I interested in? Like, I kept, like, kind of following down the rabbit hole of, like, things I actually like and things that were important to me. And I was like, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I highly recommend if you haven't read it.
I have.
And I was, like, really curious about investment. And so the investment piece of it was like, my mind was open, because when my house in Marlborough, when we moved back in with my mom, it was a disaster. Like, they had never done any updates. Like, it was so gross. Like, original 70s shag in my bedroom.
Shag baby.
It was a hot mess. And we just did, like, some minor stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but it really, like, elevated the whole thing. And I was like, shit, man, like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
We bought our first home. I completely redid everything.
Okay.
Everybody who walked in was like, holy shit. And you did this for how much? So I was like, I guess I think I'm good at this.
Miss
like,
Letourneau.
I, like, figured I hacked the thing that I'm good at. I'm good at making money.
Yes, sir.
So, like, I added equity to that house, and now it's, like, an extra $100,000, right? Like, it's so interesting.
So you added $100,000 in property value to the house, your first house that you sold, the 888.
Oh, no.
This is your mother's house.
No, like, my first purchase. I added $100,000 in equity.
How much money did you put in?
So at the time we had a VA loan, and they don't exist like this anymore unless you're actually a vet. But my brother-in-law is a veteran, so we had access to the veteran benefits of sorts.
Yeah.
They were like running some kind of promotion. So
Yep.
we actually put down like $2,000 into this place.
That's wait. In renos?
No, like
In like actual
like closing costs.
How'd you guys get the money for renovations? You put like, so the
We
loan was.
paid out of pocket.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, we redid the kitchen, painted. It was like lights.
When was this?
2015.
2015 for $2,000 down. That's fucking insane.
It doesn't exist, so I'm sorry in advance.
That is
does not exist.
crazy.
So we ended up adding $100,000 in equity to this house simply by, I refaced the cabinets, I added stone, and
And the total cost was?
I think like all in was like with furniture, because we furnished it.
Yeah. But that doesn't add equity.
No, I mean, I guess like when I take furniture out of the equation, because I'm just thinking like my all-in budget, I think it cost us right around like $6,000 or $7,000.
That is. That's crazy.
So, but it was aesthetic. It was 100% aesthetic.
That's
like
$94,000 from
and
$6,000. And how long did it? Once you put that money in, when did you guys sell?
oh, we didn't. So
okay.
no, we never sold. So so here's the thing. Like now when I deal with my clients who are buying, I'm like, guys, this is your first house. Put as little down as you can. Put your money into whatever like repairs, upgrades, etc. that you want to make, and build that fucking equity up. Because the second that you decide to move, because you're gonna move, like you're gonna move. You're not gonna live in this house forever. Everybody thinks, oh, I'm going to buy my forever home. Like, you're not. I'm sorry. But add that equity, because you're going to take that equity and you're going to go buy your actual forever home with it. And
Maybe.
that's money that you never actually needed to save. You just needed to do a couple of things. And so, like, unlike the realtor that I had that dealt with me in the commercial building that was like, did you do it yet? Did you do it yet? Did you do it yet? I was like, here are all of the resources. This is what you need to do with your bathroom. This is what you need to do with your kitchen. This is what you need to do, and this will be the price. And because I sold my first house, everybody took me seriously. And I was able to actually like demonstrate that in my husband's best friend's father and mother lived in Winstead. Beautiful house, and it was like a little over 4,000 square foot, like colonial wraparound porch, just beautiful, set on 3 open acres and then backed up to 3 acres and then watershed, so like super private. Had a pool, had like everything you wanted. It had a little bit of a wonky layout, but like easily fixable. So I was able to when we first started talking about them getting the house ready, I was like, I'm going to give you a list of things to do. You choose your own adventure. If you want to do this little amount, you're going to get this price. If you do this medium amount, you're going to get this price. And if you do all of this, you're going to get that price.
And we're talking about renovations to add equity?
Yep.
Okay.
They did the whole list. And they got an additional $100,000.
You do this for all of your clients, or just the investment?
I do this for clients who want it. Like, I never force anything on people because not everybody is built for it. If like you're in a position where like you don't have the resources or you just simply don't want to, like I'm never going to say like you need to do this. It's just for me, like I want you to get whatever you want to get out of it, and I'm going to find the way to get that.
Right.
So like all of that kind of transitioned into me working with a lot of investors because they value my opinion of the market. They value my opinion of design. And they value just like my network. So anyway, so I was able to like sell that first house, demonstrate that I could do this. And then the rest is kind of history. Like I've sold probably like way more than 50 houses at this point.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into investing in real estate.
I think everybody should. I think it's the smartest way to build wealth and offset your taxes.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I have so many questions that I want to ask you as far as when it comes to like investing itself, but we could probably save that for another day.
Yeah, we might need a part 2.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I want to talk like we kind of covered so much today, like as far as like understanding like your pressures and how you operate, but I feel like we're missing something. I feel like there's something that we're missing. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just feeling crazy, but maybe it's just a part 2 type thing.
So tell me, like, what is your curiosity? Like, what is it that would be important to you to know about my story that, like, would help people grow or understand kind of, like,
Yeah, no, I
I feel like I want to make sure that you get your answers.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, I mean, So, just when you're going through like this really like the sad and depressing state and you're like having to deal with all of this, what was your focus? Like what allowed you to like push through and even like want to do all of this stuff to get your mom out? Was it just the love for your mom? What was that strength coming from? And do you still feel that strength? Do you feel like you're stronger now? What do you feel like? I want to break that down.
So that's a great question. I always just kind of looked at it like, all right, this is the challenge that I've been given and I have to deal with it. Like, I just have to deal with it. I don't really know that I ever had like a...
So it's your conditioning. It's how your dad brought you up.
I think so. Like, I think I was just kind of like built to deal with shit when it came up because like I was just always so much thrust into things. Like,
right.
Here you go, like, figure it out.
Just
like,
another day in the book.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I think that,
your training kind of kicked in.
I do think that there was, like, an element of, like, so I was raised by a very strong person, my father, but I was also raised by my grandmother, who's super badass.
She like a Harley rider?
No. No, she was a lieutenant in World War II, and she was a nurse.
She was a lieutenant? Wait. I thought like women weren't even like allowed. Is this ignorant as fuck right now?
No. You're totally you're correct.
How the fuck?
She was badass. I'm telling you.
That was sick. How did they? Wait, what? My mind is thrown for a loop.
So she was a nurse in the World War II, and she dealt with.
She saw all these guys fucking
soldiers.
Up. She said, "Sit the fuck back. I'm gonna show you guys how to do this."
Yeah, she dealt with soldiers that had lost parts of their faces.
Damn.
So fuck, man. Like, talk about trauma.
Wait, they were alive?
Yeah, they were.
Whoa.
Yeah, they just had like lost. Yeah. So, and she was like a psych nurse. She worked at the Institute of Living at one point.
Okay.
She was like such a bad bitch. And she like took care of people low key. Like she never.
This is so funny to me. I love this. You know why? It's because like it's like the millennial or like is it the Gen Z? It's like that lingo that comes out. She was such a bad bitch. And then she was also like something, I forgot what you said, but the low key really got me. Low key.
It was low key. So she like after she died.
On God.
Trust. So she just did things because she was a good person. Like she took care of people and like we didn't even know about it. Like she was like taking care of friends of hers. That she would like bring them groceries up to like 3 flights of stairs until she was like 75 years old. Like that's like not a casual situation. That's wild. And like she never bragged about it. She's a very humble person, very religious.
But how did she become a lieutenant?
Man, I have no idea. I should know that, but I don't.
Is she still around?
No.
Is there any way that we could find this information out?
Yeah, I could find out.
How the heck did she become a lieutenant?
I think that there's...
That's a person in war, right?
Yeah, so lieutenant, like she managed the other nurses in her staff.
Gotcha.
But I can find out. But all this to say, like those two individuals basically conditioned me to, number one, not take shit.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, to be credible. Because my grandmother raised my mother and my uncle to be extremely educated. Mm-hmm. Education was super important to them because we were like an immigrant household. Like they came from Greece. So like it was important to be credible and educated because you don't want to ever feel like you're less than somebody who's, originated from here. And so as a result, I was kind of always raised to learn and to figure out how to like stay in the circles with maybe things that I wasn't really ready for. So I kind of think that those two individuals really helped like structure me as a person.
So you were kind of just going through the motions.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, yeah, I kind of just
How'd you end up like
snapped into go mode.
now? What when we're like touching on like on this like the emotional side of it, and you were mentioning how you were like a mess and you lost like 20 pounds. Like
I wasn't mad about that, by the way.
That's so funny.
I mean, come on.
But yeah. So you're saying like you experienced all this sadness. Like, at what point did you face it or overcome that, or did you start to feel better? Has it ever been resolved? Are you still kind of like holding on to some things deep down? Like, what's that emotion like?
I saw a really excellent therapist. As you know, like I wanted to be a therapist, so I'm a big advocate of therapy. I was very lucky because I had excellent insurance because I worked for the state. So I had the ability to kind of unload all of that. And so she was a specialist in grief and trauma.
Yeah.
She actually dealt with also addicts. So she was very like interesting in the sense that she kind of had a similar story too.
Yeah.
She had lost her mom due to an aneurysm suddenly, and she was kind of thrown into the same mix.
Right.
She provided me with a lot of resources to process my feelings.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's like you don't ever just like say, okay, I felt like shit for like 2 years and then it was over. Like it kind of just like doesn't hurt as bad as time goes on. I think like when you lose people suddenly, I've lost kind of a lot of people suddenly.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that I had grown up with, who I went to high school with, died due to opioids. So like I have a lot of experience in sudden loss, which is kind of fucked up. But not like that. Not like a parent, like when you lose a parent, it's like a different kind of grief. And I guess like it didn't really start to feel healed for me until I like really felt whole myself. Like I had done the work in not like healing the grief, because I don't know that you heal it, but like understanding what I wanted out of life, because I was like, I've just dealt with your life and your loss and everything that you had wanted in your life. And now it's my turn because I only get one turn.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I kind of decided for myself that I want to decide for myself that I was able to feel like this is what he would have wanted. Yeah.
Got you. So you said it wasn't until you felt as if you were able to decide for yourself, then that's when you just like start to feel better.
Yeah.
So what was it that took that? Was it like getting your real estate license and now closing deals? Was it like going to the gym? Was it going to therapy? Like what made you start to feel like you could trust yourself?
I think it was like a culmination. I don't know that there was like a distinct point in time, but I was like taking my future by the hand, and I was like, this is what we're doing now.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So it started off with the decision to just want to take control of your life.
Yeah.
And at that point, once you started going down that course, you start to affirm that you actually were capable.
Yeah.
And that's what made you feel a little bit better.
Yeah. And I mean, like, look, time heals wounds. It does. Like after a certain, point, you stop crying when you say the words. Like
Right.
It starts to feel less bad, but you still miss them. Like you're always going to miss them.
Yeah.
But I think that, when for me at least, like it wasn't until I felt whole myself that I was able to let kind of go of that grief, because people will deal with grief differently. You know, I know a lot of people who've lost parents, and some people choose to hold it and let it be who they are. And I wasn't willing to be like that person.
Stagnate.
Yeah. I wanted something else. And I was like, no, you know, like I said, I was pretty lucky growing up. Like I was upper middle class. Like I never really was spoiled, but I never really felt like we were missing anything.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was like, now it's my turn to be an adult, and I need to do better than them, because who the fuck am I if I don't just thrive, right? Like I need to. That's just how I was built.
I hear that. That's 100%.
And my husband's like very chill. Like he's like, whatever you want. Like he's like, I don't need like a grand lifestyle. He's very low key. And he's just like, if this is what you want, I support you. And I'm like, yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Take the reins.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah, no, I respect that. I definitely feel that. I think some people they need to hear that. If you're feeling in a rut, like you kind of just, I know it's cliche. I know it sounds cliche, but you really just need to get up and start taking some action. You need to show yourself that you're capable of something. It can be anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? You need to just accomplish something. It could be like, it could be doing the freaking dishes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just accomplishments is what kind of allows us to feel some type of fulfillment.
Yeah. And I think like I read a lot of not like self-help books, but like Same. I love a good self-help book.
Like I got that from, I forgot what it is. I think it's maybe The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, or Everything is Fucked.
I never finished that book. Like I just couldn't, I don't know. But yeah, like I love nonfiction. Like
me too.
That's like my thing. I love a book about improvement.
Same.
I love a book about like taking a challenge. Like David Goggins, right? Like
Can't Hurt Me.
God,
never finished.
You never finished it?
No, he has another one.
Oh,
he has two books. One's called Never Finished.
Oh, I was like, you gotta finish it.
No, I finished it.
Yeah, he was like a little too much, but like it's
stop being a fucking bitch.
Yeah, right. Like I listened to it on Audible.
Same,
and like
the podcast.
God, he was like, woof. He was intense. But
that's how being a man is.
Right. But I think like when you talk about accomplishment, like it becomes addictive, right?
Yeah,
like
it
does become addictive. And I think that I kind of have the kind of personality. I don't have an addictive personality to substances. Like I like thrive on a challenge, and I like thrive on achievement. So like when I get something done, I like don't even celebrate. I'm just like, yep, next. Like what's next? And my husband's like, you didn't even like take a second to like recognize the fact that you just did this. And I'm like, oh no, I did. I'm proud.
It's another day in life.
I'm like, to me, it's like, I'm never done.
Yeah,
so
right.
like, I'm never done.
And we don't really live in a world where like you can do one thing and then now you're done doing shit. Like you gotta continue to keep on doing it on a consistent basis. Like maybe in real estate, you close like $100 million deal, $50 million deal, you never have to work again. But like that's far and few. That's not gonna happen. And even to get to that point, you have had to have gotten consistently like, you know, those deals building up better and better. But you can't. There's no like big break. There's no like it doesn't stop. You got to keep on going.
Yeah. And, you know, I think, like, the people that do stop, those are the people that suffer. Because once they've reached that goal, they are disappointed. Because now they have nothing to work for, strive for, get after. And my, mindset has always been that if I'm not working towards something, I feel stuck. And so a lot of people describe my calendar as being a little excessive. Like I have a lot going on pretty much all the time. I've never not had a lot going on though, so it doesn't feel uncomfortable to me. Like I feel better when I have a full schedule.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong, like I need downtime. I like my downtime, but if I'm not getting better, I feel uncomfortable.
You know what, like my moments, like I resonate with a lot of the talking points that you're talking about. Like as far as like celebrations go, I typically don't necessarily celebrate too much like that. But some things that when the moments that I do celebrate are like when I'm reaching something like a new level. You know what I mean? Like I'm starting to do something that I haven't done before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's when I start to celebrate. Like when you're like scaling deals, you know what I mean? Like you get like the new biggest one. You get to like this new, you know, tier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's when I start to celebrate. I'm like, cause it's like you get like, it's like a full on reflection moment. You get to see like where your work has gotten to you. I think sometimes it's, for me, I don't want to go and sound like getting into like this whole like, but I think it's sometimes hard to understand how much you're growing. And then like some key moments just allow you to go like pat yourself on the back a little bit, but not too much that you stop or like start to get a big head.
I think that it's hard to see how far you've come.
Right.
And I think that sometimes you need to remember where you started to recognize that you've grown so much. And
Right.
I think a lot of times I don't do that because I'm so focused on what's next and how I'm getting to the end.
Right.
Or it's never an end, right? Like I keep moving the needle.
Right.
But like I'm always focused on what I need to do next,
Right.
that I forget sometimes to look back at that 888 square foot house in East Hartford and recognize that like, shit, like I sell things that are like way bigger than that. Like I'm doing new construction, I'm doing developments, I'm doing, you know, massive commercial projects. Like it's grounding. It's
Right.
important. Like, and you have to feel like you've done that. And that's what I love about real estate is that like you can take control of your own destiny.
Yeah.
As a cliche as it sounds.
And at the same time, you're kind of helping people take control of theirs.
100%. Like that's like my favorite part because I'm like, I can educate people because I always wanted to like, my goal when I went to school was I want to help people. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to be a therapist and I'm still kind of a therapist when I'm actually being honest about it. Cause like
Yeah.
when you talk
In
about
the people business, that's how you
yeah,
gotta be.
like, but you know, like you're working through some big life decisions and you know, and part of that is like
Only closers understand.
yeah. And part of that too is like, you know, having to deal with different emotions and they're real, like they're valid, like they have to be acknowledged. But
100%.
But like that emotional intelligence is
Right.
like such a big part of regular real estate.
Commission-based industries at all.
Man, like people, right? Like
If you're worried about success, it's always going to be a people business, but you got to be like emotionally intelligent.
correct. Yeah. But I mean, what I will say and what I love about commercial, and don't get me wrong, there is still an element of emotion attached to investment because you're still buying things that are semi-emotionally driven. Like you can say all you want that like when you buy a commercial property that you're not emotionally attached and you're just like making a decision based on numbers, but there's a reason that you chose it. Right? Like, it's not like, okay, this deal is good, which 90% of it is that. Like, 90% of it is the numbers. But there is an element that you feel good about. Because if
Yeah.
you didn't, you wouldn't do it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we're humans. Emotion's always going to be part of our our problem solving.
Exactly.
Exactly. Perfect. All right. So I think that's pretty much, I think we can like wrap it up for today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I like give you all the raw stuff that you wanted?
I mean, that's, I don't know. You got to let me know. Do you feel like you got as raw as you could have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Warrior Letourneau.
I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely feel like this was semi therapy moment.
Was
like,
it?
I mean, like I haven't talked about this out loud publicly, so
Yeah. No, why is that?
I just didn't really feel like it was appropriate. Like nobody like
With like friends, family,
oh
anybody?
no, I mean everybody who has been in my life knows what I've been through.
Right.
But I've never really put it out there for anybody else because like I don't know, like who really wants to hear that my dad died and I was like kind of a upper middle class kid, you know, like and I just decided to take this path.
You know, being upper middle class doesn't necessarily define who you are. I think what, you know, that doesn't mean shit to me. I think what defines who you are is how you handled when things got serious.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. So that's where the value is. You know, I think today people brush over conversations. People aren't really as emotionally intelligent as they used to be. And I think a A lot of people suffer in silence, and a lot of people idolize these celebrities. They think that they're perfect, and they're not. And I think it's good to get some perspective. I think people are scared based off of. I think people are scared to share what they went through. People are kind of scared to get judged, and I think a lot of the times we're conditioned to be a little bit less, to be a little bit more. What's the flippin' word? Just numb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think this is good. I think sharing your perspective is the most valuable thing you can do. I think helping people is the most valuable thing you can do. I think having building people's spirit, building people's capacity to grow and to learn. That's what we're supposed to do as humans. Like, this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed
to help people grow their wealth.
Yeah, hey, that's what's up. And I think you're going to be helping people a lot more too. When people start to love themselves, when people start to take control, that's when I think they can start actually accomplishing things. You know what I mean? So that's why I like to help this. I think you sharing your story is going to give some perspective and give people a little bit of strength to start working on themselves to now even get closer and closer to building wealth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think building wealth, it has to do with stuff like this too, like these little therapy sessions. You know,
you have to believe you're deserving of it too. I think.
Why are you not?
Right. Exactly.
We need to swear.
There's a lot of stigma around money, and people feel like they don't deserve to do things, and I think that's where these small mindsets bother me, because it's
But for me,
sheesh.
You know what I think is the greatest currency?
Tell me.
Perspective.
I agree.
You know, that's the greatest currency.
Yeah.
And a lot of these times, people are not willing to share. People think that they're not willing. Yeah, they feel like they're not deserving to share.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what we need to switch, that narrative.
Right.
People are deserving. People are, there's a lot of value that I can learn. Again, it doesn't, just because you did something the way that worked for you doesn't necessarily mean I can replicate it, but I'm sure there's little snippets here and there that I can learn from, I can take. A lot of the times people don't receive that information so well. You know what I mean? So that's why people don't like to share, because of how it's received and how people they think that you're telling them how to do something. I don't know what the emotion is, but just filter through the information, accept what somebody's saying, let love be the driving force, figure it out. You know what I mean? They're not, I think it's an honor when people open up.
Well, thanks. I mean, I appreciate being able to talk about it. I mean, this is a cool podcast. I love that you're doing it. I think that not a lot of people are willing to talk about these complicated matters. And I think stories matter. I hope that mine helps somebody.
It definitely will. It definitely will. You're not going through it alone. I'm sure maybe somebody might even reach out to you who has gone through something similar and be like, hey,
yeah,
I felt that too. Thank you for, I know I'm not alone.
I love that.
You know what I mean? That. But doesn't that give you power?
It does. It totally does. I just recently had a client reach out to me from Instagram, and, they were like, oh, we want to build a house. Can you help us? It looks like you really have the proficiency. And I was like, 100%. But I'm glad that I'm able to present that on a social platform so that people know, because I think there's a lot of fear around putting things out there, and I'm not scared. So.
Yeah. I can you can learn a lot from how somebody carries themselves. And I've definitely learned quite a bit from you sitting here today. Just the way that you converse, the way that you just touch up on points. I can tell that you've been in front of a lot of people. I can tell that you've been in front of a lot of high pressure individuals, perhaps. I just feel I feel that experience coming through. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Who knows? But I just feel that, and I can even see it in how deep you want to go, because I know a lot of people, I think on a fundamental basis, on a broad scale, we can be judgy as humans, and we can kind of get not the most positive feedback when we start to talk about more emotional things, when we start to talk about a little bit more part of our history, part of ultimately who we are, and what made us be the way we are. I think it's such a sad thing that we really should be able to talk about what made a person that person, because I think people are beautiful. I think people need to be loved. I think everything that made you who you are now needs to be accredited. I think it's all part of you. You know what I mean? It's you. And you can't take away these things that made you.
Right.
So
tell me about you, because we've talked a lot about me.
what do you want to know?
So how did you decide to do this podcast, and what do you hope to get from it?
So I decided to do this podcast simply because I have been given so many contrasting thoughts. Like when I have shared myself to people, I have got like in the same way, right? Same words. I've gotten so many mixed responses. I've gotten people attack me, and I've had people embrace me simply by what I say. And it's like this, I'm saying the same thing, but in different rooms, getting completely different responses. And I know that I felt poorly when I would get like attacked. I would feel, you know what I mean? Like, and I would literally take that personally. I would take that as a self-worth type of thing. Like, I'm really not worthy. I'm not whatever. So I wanted to kind of create a space where, it's a really deep and intricate story. So even with that, like I would get negative feedback, but consistently I would always extend myself. And I would be like, I'm going to share no matter what. Like, I don't care if you're giving me appropriate response or not. Like, if there's something that I need to get off my chest, I need to get off my chest. Mm-hmm. I need to grow. I need to start speaking. I need to like literally speak out my truth, mm-hmm. whatever it is. Like, I need to do this. And I thought there was a lot of power in that. You know what I mean? And I know like when you do it over a consistent basis, like I was doing it in my household, and I was just getting negative feedback. You know what I mean? I wasn't growing. I was starting to take it to heart, and I was feeling like a little bit blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, even though I was less reliant on the individuals around me, I started to feel more reliant on myself. And I was still like feeling like shit when I was sharing, mm-hmm. you know what I mean? But it kind of forced me to, regardless. Anyways, So
in my experience, and not to like put any wisdom into the mix.
No, let's get it.
In my experience, there are some people that you share your plans with, and there are people you don't.
Yeah.
Because the people that care will often discourage you. Mm-hmm. And the people that are jealous will tell you why you shouldn't. And then there's everybody else whose opinion doesn't really matter.
Right.
So you're going to take the opinion of the people that you know care about you.
Right.
And you might think that because they want the best for you, and they're, giving you this like reality check, mm-hmm. that they're right, and they're wrong. Like, right. Like I said, like you get to choose your own adventure because you only get one. Right. I mean, not literally, you only get one life. Yeah. Like you only get one life. And so like you have to make the most of it. And so like, I love that you're doing this, because I think, you're going to get negative feedback. And if you're not, like, are you even like producing something that's worth listening to? Right. You're right. Like there's going to be haters, and that's okay. Like, yes. Let them hate.
Absolutely.
Love that.
Absolutely. But also just like to kind of go into it, like just to touch up on it a little bit deeper. So when you're getting the negative feedback, everything that makes sense should tell you that, you would start to feel shittier and shittier, mm-hmm. and shittier as it starts to kind of get solidified. But every time I would open up and like explore deeper ideas and thoughts, I would feel that security in myself. I would feel better. You know what I mean? Even though like the feedback isn't necessarily like, I'd still learn more about myself. I learn more about the relationship. I learned not to put all my faith in this type of stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think sharing your opinion, sharing your perspective, it allows you to kind of, I'm like always been an idea person. Mm-hmm. I think you need to flush out ideas. I think you need to have communication. I think you need to talk. I think you need to explore your mind, and because that wasn't necessarily prevalent, because we weren't allowed to explore our minds when I was like kind of coming out, that's what I want to do. I want to explore minds. I want to find out innate behaviors. I want to figure out, why do we do the things we do? Mm-hmm. Is it possible to create who we become? Is it possible to reshape, or are we just stuck? You know what I mean? I think the only thing we can do is explore the minds and venture down and see if that's actually a thing. I like exploring. I'm an explorer. You know what I mean? I don't think I have like a set way of being. I think I just like to do shit. Does this shit resonate with me? Does it work with me? Who am I going to be tomorrow? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? What's the next task? I just like to engage, like just define me off the tasks I'm engaging in.
Well, you're a creative, right? So like you just want to like figure it out and make it pretty.
Yeah, I guess so. I wouldn't know if I would ever like say it like that. Make it pretty. I don't even care. I just want to do it.
Just make it.
I just want to do it.
You just want to do it, yeah.
That's all I want to do.
Because I feel like creatives are the people that like, they can see it's not a problem, but they can see something and they just want to like develop that, right? Like artists, like they
Right.
see something and they just want to like put it out there, develop it, like
Right.
bring
But-
it to life.
But I think I'm more than just this sounds so crazy. I really don't like talking about myself at all.
Too bad.
But
You've been asked.
I think I'm more than just a creative, because I also see myself as a people person. Like I also see myself as a business person.
Well, you can be a many things. And
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting
Like
the
a
creative
psychologist.
piece. Yeah.
I see it all. So with my art, I want to help shape mind, shape perspective, because I feel like, but the very first science started from philosophy. That's the very first science. And then we created like our theories and all this other shit. But it all starts with how you see the world. That's how everything is defined. And that then creates how you interact with individuals, how you see yourself. And philosophy is everything. So perspective is everything. And I want to ultimately help shape people's minds, help them create a train of thought that allows them to feel competent and capable and just take their life into their hands.
I love that. I love that.
That's the Perspective Podcast. Hopefully.
I love that. I think
That's what we're trying to do. We'll see.
I mean, coming from a Greek background, like I can appreciate the philosophy.
Philosophy. I was gonna say like Plato, Aristotle. All that
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
beginning,
yeah.
but-
Yeah, we go deep, you know? Like that's important. You got to have perspective. You have to have perspective and nobody else can make it for you. So like if you choose to, you know, be in a negative mindset, people will stay in a negative mindset, and if you're in a positive,
life is so complex.
it's so complex.
Like you can be in a rut, and all it takes is like one person to acknowledge you.
You know what's funny? Babies.
What?
Literally babies. Like, and I never thought I was going to be like a mom. Like, I never thought I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to have kids. But they changed your mood. They will. They'll change your mood. Like, I don't have kids, but I love kids. Like, they love me. So if I'm in a bad mood, just hand me a baby. I'm going to be happy. Literally.
Where did this come from?
You know why? Because
Why?
when they're smiling at you, they're so innocent.
Yeah, it's a true smile.
You can't be like, it changes. Like, it's like you're just, and again, like I don't have kids, and I do believe that when I do have kids, like I probably will like be on the stoic side of parenting versus the warm and fuzzy, like, oh, you little bit.
Yeah.
But that's just how I was raised. But I think that kids just tend to let you realize that life is what you're, you know, like it's your perspective, right? So like you can't, it's like a puppy. Like you can't be mad at a puppy.
Life is new always. Life
Yeah.
is always new.
You can't be mad at a baby, and you can't be mad at a puppy because they don't know any better. And it's like, it's a trigger, I guess. I don't know.
No, I like it.
I don't know if it's science, but
No, I like it. But also kind of touching back. I want to backtrack just like a few steps. I know I go crazy. If you need to go, you can let me know. We can just like
No.
wrap it up.
I actually think I have a little bit more time.
Okay. Got it. So also going back into the whole sharing thing, right? And not getting a response. There were times when, because of my response, I withheld sharing. And I started to notice how I'd feel shittier. Like I feel like entrapped. I feel enclosed. I feel like, I have to fake who I am in order to be accepted. I have to fake how I speak, who I am. Like that's like everything, like how you talk, whatever. Your whole thought process is now fucked because you're not being loved, you're not being accepted, you're not being included, you're not being acknowledged. And I didn't resonate with that. I wanted to just keep on sharing, and then through that you find people who actually resonate with you and who actually acknowledge the true you. So keep on sharing. You know what I mean? Get deep. Because there's nothing wrong with you if people are not acknowledging, and I learned that through that trial, through that fire. So, and by not giving up, by continuing to try to put my voice out there, I found true people who love me, and I can be any which way. I'm being my authentic self, and I am loved and I am considered.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that I know, some of which I've let a little bit go of, they use politics to align their authentic self, and I don't.
I think it's all facade. I think that shit's like a fucking gimmick.
Listen, I've worked in politics. I understand the games. I don't think anybody's ever right. But I do think that the alignment creates more of a division.
100%.
So when people start to say that they resonate with a certain mindset that is affiliated with one or the other, you get this automatic pushback.
Right.
And you're very religious. So naturally, people resist that.
Yeah, they do.
Which is weird because, like, as I was growing up, like,
I don't find it weird.
I mean, like, I don't think it's weird. I think it's weird that people resist it because I don't think there's anything wrong with saying God. I don't know why it's such a weird thing these days. It's like, who raised you to, like, be so anti, why?
We could really go down a rabbit hole, like conspiracy theory. I really feel like it's been propagated. I feel like the whole point of the Crusades is to kind of downplay the whole point of religion in Christ, and people look at these examples of how people use Christianity, and that's why they discredit it. They're not like, none of those, like the way that the world uses Christianity is not how Christ wants it to be taught, to be like solidified. No, like people are just doing it improperly, and people are like claiming his name, knowing that it's not actually for Christ in the purpose of diluting and kind of straying people away. I think that's why.
Well, it's people that ruin things.
It is what it is.
But I think that, the institutions of religion are complicated, just like politics. And I think that, when you feel so passionately one way that you can't see the other, I think there's a problem.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that most people that I know that I've pushed back from that don't see anybody's perspective but their own are at a disadvantage.
Yes, 100%. I'm so blessed for all the trauma that I've gone through, all the experience I have gone through, because I've seen how my opinions have shaped through the years. I used to be so stern and like, yes, it's this way, it's that way. And then come to find out 3 years later, I'm looking at how I used to think, my own train of thought, and being like, wow, I was literally crazy. You know what I mean? So,
well, you grow.
Yeah. But, your opinion's shaped. It's like, I could never be so stern on a political party, like to say that this is correct. Because 3 years from now, 5 years from now, I may be on the opposing side of that. So
what's funny about politics, and I won't get into it, but I will say this: people have a short memory, and some of the things that some of the politicians that are in favor of today were not the same positions they held in 1980s because they've been in politics for that long.
Right, that's crazy.
So all this to say, like, the culture shifts, and I think people don't shift necessarily with it, and I don't think they have to, but I do think that, politicians are there to be elected. They're there to represent their interested parties. They're not there to be...
perpetuate capitalism.
I mean, they're not there to be, like, idled. They're not there to be, somebody that you should... They're supposed to represent the public.
Right, exactly. Not about their ideas.
Correct.
It's about how the people want them to act.
Their constituents. They're not there because they need to prove to themselves that...
Right. Which political view are they aligning with? Which group of people are they listening to the most? Are they hearing the most?
Yeah, and I mean, I think, like, the fact that, as a person who's never been involved in politics but has the ability to share their opinions so easily on a public forum like Facebook, I find it challenging that, in this day and age when you have so much information that you can't see beyond your own opinion. Because it's like short memories. You forgot, oh, by the way, so-and-so, won't name him, said this in 1980 and was completely against what he is for now.
Right.
And yet you're still for him.
Right.
And you forgot what he said then. So,
right.
I
think capitalism has kind of perpetuated this kind of dick measuring contest, right? Where people think that, like, you have to have everything figured out. And if you ever fucking change your mind, you're weak, and that's you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that That's literally the opposite of like life.
Yeah. Well, you know what I've learned in my life? I've met a lot of people in a lot of different areas. And I think the people that are the most wealthy and they have the most open minds and they're the most down to earth. And I think that it might be a function of how once they got to that point, maybe they weren't always that way, but I think that the more of like the way that you're able to look at things with an open mind instead of thinking it in like a silo, I think you're just able to open yourself up to more opportunities. And I think that capitalism, I mean, people, you would be a fool to think that the government is going to help you with its own good intentions. The government is propagated by money.
Yeah,
And,
lobbyists.
and the lobbyists are the corporations, and the corporations have initiatives because they have shareholders. And so, I think like people think that the government's here to solve the world's problems. But in fact, like my experience in government, and they create them. And so, I don't know how we got down this rabbit hole, but my only point is keep your mind open because your government's not here to save you.
Absolutely. COVID was an inside job.
Oh man, that's a whole different conversation.
No, but I think that's good. I think that's pretty much a wrap.
All right. Well, I actually have to go do a showing anyway, so I'm glad that this segued nicely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I think this was a lovely show. I definitely brought us on some tangents.
Yeah.
So many tangents.
Maybe part 2 we can actually talk about commercial real estate and the benefits and some numbers and maybe some actual, content there. I mean, it's not going to be about personality, but it kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have shown to be a reliable character, and I think you have some reliable information that I'm really ready to get out of you.
Yeah.
Because I definitely want to make some wealth moves. Definitely need to understand how to invest in some real estate. Do I do corporate? I mean, commercial? Do I do just like residential? Is it even possible to do commercial? How do I do this? What's the answer to that? So I'm really excited to see some of the answers you bring.
I got you. Well, I'm excited to join you on another one, and hopefully we can unpack the newbie stages of investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I really want to get some comments down below about like what people thought about your story.
Okay.
And like some things that people just have in general.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. Maybe we can touch up a little bit more on that. But
so what do I have to do something?
What do you mean?
I don't know.
No. We post it and then people watch it.
Once they comment, then okay, got it.
Yeah, let's get some comments down below. Hopefully we get some comments. That'd be really nice to
Okay. Is this going to go on YouTube?
Yeah, this is going to go on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, you tag me.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah. This is fine.
Absolutely.
This is fine.
100%. So I don't know if I can tag you on YouTube itself, but I'm going to be posting like teaser clips.
Okay.
And then I can tag you on Instagram and socials that way.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely just, however I can share your podcast, I'm happy to. Like, I have a good size following, not like crazy, but
yeah,
I think.
See, Robyn's a fucking professional. You know that? Like, I'm like, again, going and like talking back about like how you were like touching up on talking points. Like, I know, like, I can see you thinking about how everything is getting responded, like how people are viewing it. You know what I mean? I'm like listening. I'm like hearing the feedback. I'm seeing the feedback. You know what I mean? Like, man, I want to get raw. But I know that's probably not for the camera. But anyways, maybe, I don't know.
Next time.
I feel like you're holding back. It's okay.
First time, next time.
Okay. Or maybe never on camera. You know what I mean? Sometimes some things are meant to be personal.
Like what?
I don't know. Anything. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just like overthinking.
I don't know.
Anyways.
I'm a pretty open book.
Yeah? I want to see you get emotional.
Yeah, no, I don't cry though.
I want to see you get emotional.
I'll get pissed real quick.
How do you get pissed?
Oh, I don't know, actually. I think it's pretty... I don't really know. But, I mean, just put me in the car in 84.
Oh, she's got road rage.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, my gosh.
Listen, I like to get where I'm going. People just...
Were you born in Connecticut? You were. Mm-hmm, yeah, your house was here. I like the way you said going. I like that.
Going?
Yeah, I thought it had like an accent to it or something.
No.
I didn't get where I'm going.
Well, I do. I like... Hurry up.
You don't like driving?
So if you want to piss me off, just get me behind the wheel on 84 or 91 and just the idiocracy.
Just.
But no, I'm not a very emotional person. I mean, like, I don't cry. Like, I'm not a crier. I think that's just like, I don't know. I'm just not. But
She cry it all out.
I don't really get that. I mean, movies, I'll cry my eyes out. Like, oh my God.
Yeah?
But like
sad movies or happy movies?
So it could just be like
a
love moment, like on a movie, and I'm like, oh my God, we're so happy. And then like other times where I'm just like,
so happy.
Yeah, like it's just like movies, yes. Real life, no. I don't know.
No, I feel that. I definitely get. You know when I get teary-eyed? We're kind of like, we should probably just like cut the podcast at this point, but X Factor.
We can make this the bloopers.
Golden buzzer.
What's?
You ever see like people get the golden buzzer on like X Factor or something like that?
I've never seen that.
No?
I don't watch a lot of TV.
I see it like on my phone, on YouTube and stuff.
I'm not a YouTuber either.
I'm gonna
like,
pull up a video. You've never seen this? I mean, without the context, it's probably not going to make any sense.
I don't know what it is.
X Factor.
Is it like a challenge?
It's like a talent show. People go on the show.
Oh, right.
With Simon Cowell.
Simon Cowell. Okay, yeah.
And then they'll pop the golden buzzer and they'll go straight to the live show. It's just like a recognition. You'll see like someone's dream come true right there and then.
Oh, that's
It's like the most beautiful thing. All right, so
I've never seen it. I mean, now I know what it is, but I've never seen it.
I want to show you this video. It's like this 15-year-old girl. She sings. I know that was really loud.
It was loud.
And it's beautiful.
So you get teary-eyed when people achieve their dreams.
Yeah.
See, love that.
Yeah.
Well,
I love it. I'm so sorry. I'm so ready for it. You can't see, can you?
No, I can see it.
You can? This is for you, Robyn. Rob the Warrior Letourneau.
I won't be singing either. No crying, no singing.
That's fine. You're welcome.
If I start crying, I'm going to come over there.
It's okay.
Shut this off. Oh, see, this gives me goosebumps.
So good.
Is that... Let's go.
So good.
She's fucking talented.
So good.
Boom, even Simon Cowell liked that one.
Woo! So good.
See, the dumb things that I think about when I see stuff like this is like, how long do you think she took to choose that outfit?
That's so funny.
Isn't that silly?
Why?
Like,
What makes you think of that?
because it's like you're going on a national TV show. Like, was that your favorite sweater? Like, these are the things that I wonder about.
Jesus, Miss Judgy Robyn.
I'm just curious.
Tone it back.
No. I'm just curious. Because, like, I always think about that stuff. Like, do you think that she was like, this is my authentic me? Or do you think she was like, I'm going to go buy a new outfit? Like, I always just wonder that.
That's a good, interesting question.
You know, I'm not, like, judging. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, no, I never thought about stuff like that, honestly. Yeah. I like that.
Because it takes me a long time to choose outfits. Although I end up wearing the same, like, 5 things that I own in my closet.
Wasn't that beautiful?
It was good. Proud of her.
That's going to be your new theme song.
My warrior?
Yeah, you're a warrior.
You know what's so funny? Like, my boss at the restaurant, he was, like, old Greek guy. Like, he's not that old. He'll kill me if he hears that.
You mean the guys that... You talking about the guy who's dirt, like old as dirt?
No, he's not that old.
The fossil?
No.
No?
He was like, he had his favorites, like obviously I was one. And so like he was like, you are like Aphrodite, not me. And you are like Diana. And I was like, Diana, really? Like, come on, man. Like,
who's Diana?
The goddess of war.
That sounds dope.
I know. I was like, I don't think I'm that like mean.
Do you have to be mean?
But I guess not.
It just means you got to be focused. You got to be on a mission.
I just thought it was an interesting choice. So, but I was like, I want to be Aphrodite.
And what does Aphrodite do?
Oh, she's a goddess of love. Like, hello.
Hello.
That'd be cute.
Cute. No, I think warrior is pretty dope.
I mean, I like it now, but I didn't get it then. So
yeah.
I was like, yeah. So I feel it.
It's kind of funny. I feel like that was like a perfect fit, to be honest. Like she was like, this is a story I've never told. That was like you, you know?
Yeah.
It's like fit perfectly.
Oh, look at you putting the pieces together.
Warrior Letourneau.
I guess you can keep this clip.
Yeah, this is pretty good. Warrior Letourneau. This is your theme song.
This is my theme.
I'm gonna send it to you later, and you can just listen to it on repeat.
Cool. I gotta go.
Perfect. All right. Thank you again for coming on the show. This was episode 4 with Robyn Letourneau, the wonderful Robyn Letourneau, sharing her story. And I'm excited to get you on the podcast for take 2, where we talk about investing in real estate.
Hell yeah. And whoever needs my help, I'm here for it.
Absolutely. We got the socials down below. Click those. Make sure you check out her page, give her a follow, and she'll answer any real estate questions that you may have.
And any trauma questions, because why not?
Okay, let's go. She's going next level. That's an over-deliver right there.
I do. I over-deliver.
Beautiful. All right. Perfect. Thank you again.
Thanks.
See ya.
Oh, my God.
All right.
Oh, my God. My ears feel funny now.
Doesn't it sound weird? I told you.
It is so weird.
It's not like real
it's
life.
It's like
you can
my...
just hook it on top.
Oh. It's like I feel like my hearing is messed up.